Hi all, this is Nitya Priya. So happy to see you all through this video. In this channel, we are going to have a series of videos that explain the concepts of PHP. Even in this video, we are going to have a small introduction about PHP. In PHP, about PHP, we know it is a scripting language, but through this, we come to know the uses of PHP, the characteristics of PHP, the environmental setup needed for PHP, how to install WAMP or LAMP in our system, and about the escaping sequences of PHP coding, right? Okay, so let us have a small look about the introduction of PHP. PHP is an open source. It has been started as an open source project. In 1994, Rasmus Ledorf introduced the concept of PHP first, and as days passed by, it was by the many people who know various coding in C, Java, VB and the other things, and it was a collective work. PHP was a collective work, okay, and the last version of PHP appeared, okay, right. So PHP is an acronym of preprocessor hypertext. We can also say preprocessor hypertext or hypertext preprocessor, right. So PHP is a scripting language. We know many other scripting languages like VB script and JavaScript and the other thing. There are so many scripting languages available nowadays, but the difference between PHP and the other scripting languages is PHP will support databases, okay, and PHP can stand alone. For example, JavaScript, if you run a JavaScript coding, you can only embed JavaScript coding inside HTML, and you can save the coding with .html extension. Only then you can execute it on the browser, you can get the output. But PHP can be embedded in HTML, otherwise it can stand alone. Only with the PHP coding, we can run a PHP program on WAMP, right? So whenever we execute a PHP program, we'll save it with .php extension, right? So that's why it is called as a standalone script. And here it is a server-side scripting language. It supports dynamic content, databases, session tracking. It even builds commercial websites, okay, right. So now we see what are the databases that PHP supports. It supports MySQL, PostgreSQL, Oracle, Sybase, Microsoft SQL Server, etc., etc. It supports many databases, and PHP supports a lot of protocols like PO3. POP3 means POP is Post Office Protocol. Okay, so IMAP is Internet Message Access Protocol. So like this, it supports many protocol. It also supports CORBA, Java's dedicated protocol. CORBA is Common Object Resource Broker Architecture. Okay, so CORBA also PHP will support. And about the syntax of PHP, PHP is like C coding. You know the syntax of C programming. So PHP's coding will resemble C programming, right? So that is about the introduction of PHP. Now we see the common uses of PHP. PHP can work on files on a system. It can create files, open, read, write and close files on a system. And PHP can handle form data also. It can gather data from files, save data, and it can get data through email. It can return data through email to the users also, right? And about the database connectivity with PHP, you can add, delete, modify elements with the database through PHP coding. We'll see the coding that PHP connects with database later, right? It can work with cookies also, and using PHP we can restrict users. Okay, so that is about the security characteristic, that security feature that PHP gives to its users. It can also restrict certain users can be restricted, certain users can be allowed, and read-write permission can be given exclusively to the users, so and so, right? So it can encrypt data also. So these are the common uses of PHP. Now we see the characteristics of PHP. It is a simple one, it is an efficient one, secured one, flexible one, and familiar one, right? So we see an example of PHP code. Two types of PHP scripts I've given here. The first one is the embedded script. See, the PHP coding is embedded within the body of the HTML document, right? So this is the embedded script. And the second one is the standalone script. You can see the difference now. The second one is a standalone script. Only PHP scope is there. So we give the PHP scope like less than $PHP, then echo. Echo is for printing. Echo, then within the double quotes we give the message, whatever it is. We end up the statement with semicolon, and we close the scope with question mark and greater than symbol. Okay, so both the code, when we execute both the coding, it will produce the result hello world. Okay, whatever is given in echo, that will be printed, right? Now we see the environment setup. So this coding will say it will give a brush up, it will give a small, it is an eye opener for the beginners to say how we can include PHP coding with its scripts. That is it, right? We'll see the execution, how to execute it in the later videos. Now the environment setup of PHP, right? So to run PHP coding on a system, we must be having either WAMP or lab. If we have Windows OS, then we must be having WAMP, that is Windows Apache MySQL PHP on our system. If you are working with Linux OS, we must be having LAMP, that is Linux Apache MySQL and PHP, right? So either one of this WAMP or LAMP we should have in our system to execute PHP coding, right? An internet browser alone will not do for running PHP coding. You should have WAMP or LAMP, right? And the following things are necessary for necessary for running PHP coding, that is web server, database, PHP Parser. Okay, so we have to check it out whether the following features are running properly, right? So web server is commonly when while PHP is running, we must include web server software, right? So there are various web server softwares available. The famous Microsoft's web server is IIS, which is Internet Information Server. So IIS will also support web server, or WAMP will support. Okay, so either IIS or WAMP we should have in our system. That is it. The next thing is database. Okay, so database, as I said, PHP will support database unlike the other scripts. For example, JavaScript, VB script, they won't support database, but PHP will work along with databases. So we must ensure whether we have the database software also in our system. For example, MySQL or SQL Server or MS Access or anything, right? Then PHP Parser. When we have embedded scripts of PHP, the PHP instructions alone, right? So we'll have HTML body, head, and the other things. But the PHP coding alone should be parsed using PHP Parser. So we must ensure that PHP Parser is running properly, right? So when we get WAMP installed in our system, if we have Windows OS, that is okay. That is suffice for running a PHP coding. Don't get confused about this, right? So this is just explaining the concepts, right? And to install the PHP Parser, we should follow the following address: http://127.0.0.01/info.php at our command line, right? We should type this in our address box. When it runs, it ensures that PHP is installed properly in our system. If not, we should install WAMP or LAMP in our system, whichever is applicable, right? Now we see the escaping sequences of PHP. Escaping sequences means how can we include PHP coding? What are all the ways to include PHP coding in our program, right? So the first one, in 4 ways we can give PHP coding, like canonical, HTML, ASP and HTML, right? The first one is canonical. Canonical is the first thing we saw in the previous example, this, okay? So the scope of canonical PHP tag is less than $PHP, then the coding will follow after that, right? Then question mark and greater than symbol, okay? So this is canonical PHP tag. The next one is HTML tag. HTML, the scope of HTML is less than question mark, then the coding will be then question mark greater than symbol, okay? So when we use this HTML tag, we have to do the following things, okay? Number one, first thing is we choose the short tags configuration option. We should enable it, okay? This is the first thing. Then we should open php.ini file on in our settings, okay? So one of these two things we must do to enable the HTML tags in our system. If we use this type of escaping sequence, we must ensure one of these two things must be done. Then ASP. If you see this, it will resemble ASP coding, because whenever we type ASP coding, we'll give like less than, then percentage symbol, then the coding, then percentage close the tag, right? So this we use to include PHP coding also. Then HTML scripting tags. So always embedded scripts can be included, like script language equals VB script, or script language equals JavaScript, and so on. And finally, after including the coding, we'll close with /script. No, the same way can be followed for including PHP language coding also. So that is it. Okay. So the footages has been taken from the following link. So you can also that link also. Thanks to tutorials point. I hope you understand the entire video of introduction to PHP. We'll see in the next videos, the upcoming videos, which clearly explain you the other concepts of PHP, like constants, expressions, operators, functions, arrays, how to handle, how to have hoop concepts and advanced concepts of PHP and the other things. Okay, kindly follow and stay tuned to the upcoming videos. Thanks for watching.